So how do we draw a graph of the absolute value of another function, or another function of the absolute value of x? What is that going to look like? What does it mean? So here's just some arbitrary polynomial function. Now there's many ways you can graph this. You can draw up a table of values and put the points in and connect them up. Or if you preferred, you could use methods you learned in maths methods to work out where all those points of interest are. I'm not really interested right now. I just want to see what I can do with this function next. I want to know what the graph of the absolute value of this function will look like, and what the graph of f of mod x will look like for this function. Well, mod f of x is going to take any of these negative values and make them positive again. F of x is not allowed to be negative if I'm graphing mod f of x. Now you could work out a new table of values and graph it, or you could just look at the graph. Anywhere the graph goes underneath the x-axis, it's instead going to go above the x-axis. Underneath the x-axis is now going to go above the x-axis. Let me find it for you. Okay, here it is. So where the old function went below, we're going to go above. Where the old function went below, it now goes up. And we have a new local minimum where we used to have an x-intercept. I mean, we actually still do have an x-intercept there, but now it's a minimum. This part of the graph that went underneath is now above the axis. So where we had an x-intercept, well, we actually still have x-intercepts, but they're now minimums. And where we used to have a minimum, we've actually now got a local maximum. But what about f of mod x? What's that going to look like? Well, again, you can do a table of values. F of mod x is going to say, instead of looking at -1, I'm going to get the value that I had when it was 1. Instead of looking at f of -2, I'm now going to look at f of 2. Instead of f of -3, I'm now going to get the value I had at f of 3, and so on. So I'm actually going to get symmetric graph around 0. That is to say, the graph is going to now be symmetric about the y-axis. So all I did was, the values over here for the function, I'm going to throw these bits away. They're no longer important. I'm just going to mirror this bit over here. I'm going to mirror what's on the right over on the left. And that's my new graph. This graph is f of mod x.